What's going on, guys? I consider myself a jack of all trades. My name's Jeff, so welcome back to Jeff of All Trades. Today we're going to be comparing the Smith and Wesson M&P Shield, the Springfield Hellcat, and then the Glock 43. These are three compact guns that were really fun to shoot, and we went through pretty much everything we could go through with them. In this video, we're going to be comparing the grip, how it fits in your hand, the magazine capacity, and also some things you can do at home with ammo being so scarce to be able to train with your weapon, be safe with your weapon, and to make sure that you're getting in that trigger time that you need to have with these weapons. So let's get right into it. The first one we're going to be going over is the Smith and Wesson M&P Shield. Now they came out with a different M&P Shield recently, which is the Shield Easy. That is not this gun. This is the original Smith and Wesson Shield. First thing you need to notice about it is all of these guns are 9mm. The Smith and Wesson Shield is a 8-round capacity magazine that comes with it. You can of course get magazine extensions, aftermarket magazines for it that may add a little bit more to it, but it's also going to extend the magazine a little bit, which may make it harder to conceal carry if that's the route you want to go with it. Now with a lot of these guns, when you're picking them up, you're going to notice it's an 8+1 for the ammo capacity, or a 6+1, or with the Hellcat a 13+1, which we'll get into. That +1 just means one in the chamber. So it was really nice, easy to shoot. We'll go over the trigger and everything else in great detail, but that's the first one we're going to be reviewing. The second gun we're going to be going over is the Glock 43. Now this was my first concealed carry pistol for its size. One downfall is this is only a 6-in-1. You can only carry 6 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, so it's only 7 rounds, which is a lot less than a lot of people want to carry with. But it is very easy to conceal. It's very short. Again, the barrel and the slide on it, the thickness of this gun is a little bit thicker than one 9mm bullet, which is really nice. It'll fit just about anywhere on your person. You can shoulder carry it, waist carry it, appendix, whatever you want to do. You're not even going to know it's there. So this was a great pistol. I'm a little bit biased towards it because it was my first concealed carry pistol that I had. And yeah, it was a great pistol. I absolutely love it. And that is the second one we're going to be going over today. And last but certainly not least is the Springfield Hellcat. This gun is the newest for my concealed carry collection, and I absolutely love it. The magazine that I have with this one, it came with it. This is the 13-round capacity magazine, which is fantastic. That means when you're carrying, you're getting 14 rounds with this. And if you can tell, we're going to put them all side by side, but this is almost just as small as the other ones that we had here. Of course, all the guns that I'm showing you today are completely clear, with nothing in the magazine. All three guns are going to be like that for this entire video until we're actually out on the range with them. But this gun was absolutely fantastic. It is a little bit thicker, but not by much. How they got away with doing this with 13 rounds and 1 in the chamber is beyond me, but I absolutely love this weapon. So, let's get right into the details of them.
As everyone knows, ammo is near impossible to come by these days. That's why I like to continue to train daily with a simple laser bullet for your gun. This laser bullet here will fit any 9mm barrel. They do come for other calibers as well. The front of the bullet is a laser, and the back is a rubber cap, which is the button for the laser itself. When the firing pin hits that cap, the laser goes off. It's very simple and safe to use, and it's not going to hurt your gun at all. Check your weapon a few times to make sure that it's empty. When using this laser bullet, you will be pulling the trigger multiple times, so you want to make sure it's empty. To use the laser, you're simply going to slide the bullet into the barrel of the gun with the cap facing the back of the gun and the laser facing out the barrel. Seat it in place in the barrel and push it into place with your finger. As you can see, when the cap is pressed, the laser comes out the front of the barrel. Put the slide forward. Next, make sure that magazine is empty before sliding it into your gun. And you're good to go. Simply pull the trigger and the laser will come out the front of the barrel. Simply re-rack the gun after every trigger pull and continue training. This setup I have here is for me to practice my draw and accuracy with my guns. I usually start by pulling the gun out at about 50% speed and increase it from there. It's a great tool to have to be able to shoot your gun and improve your skills without burning up any of those precious rounds that you have. You can also use this bullet to practice for sight picture, trigger pull, and many other basics in your own home. Even though you're using a laser bullet and the gun is empty, you must always treat it as it's loaded. Only pull the trigger when the gun is facing a safe direction. And don't only focus on the wall that you're aiming at, but also be conscious of what's behind that wall in case of a negligent discharge.
So now let's look at the size of them. As we talked about before, we already talked about the magazines for all three of these, but let's look at the actual overall size of them and see how they compare. The M&P Shield versus the Glock 43 are very similar. If you put this right on top of the other, you can tell they are pretty much the same exact length. The Glock has maybe a little bit longer on the back end there with that dovetail, but not enough that you're going to notice. Put them up like this, and you can see the length. As you can see, the Smith & Wesson Shield is a little bit longer on that end there, but you have to remember with this magazine, the Smith & Wesson Shield, you're getting 2 extra bullets in this magazine compared to only 6 bullets in the Glock. You're getting 8 with the Shield. So that's a little bit extra length, I think is worth it for the extra 2 bullets. Now if we bring the Hellcat into the mix, we'll compare it to the Glock 43 because the Glock 43 is a little bit shorter than the Shield, but a little bit longer on the slide, remember. If you stack these up, you can actually see that the both lined up at the barrel there. The Hellcat is a little bit shorter yet than the Glock 43 with that slide. Dovetails are pretty close, but the slide itself is a little bit shorter. Compare that to the Shield. You'll see the same thing. That is a little bit shorter. So the Hellcat is actually shorter than both of them. This also has a 13-round magazine, which is a double stack. Double stack means that the bullets go side by side and they go up in a diagonal pattern, whereas with a single stack, it's exactly that. It's just one bullet on top of another all the way to the top. So you are going to see a thickness difference with the magazine and in the gun itself, which I'll show you right now. There's the thickness difference between the Hellcat and the Shield. And then the Hellcat and the Glock. You can see how thin that Glock is, which is really nice for concealing, but you're actually not losing too much with the Hellcat having those 13 rounds in there. It is not that much thicker. If you want to go over the length, like we did with the other two, remember the M&P Shield was a little bit longer than the Glock 43. Line up the slides. Still a little bit longer than the Hellcat, which is surprising. Although this is a double stack, we need to keep that in the back of our minds. Compare it to the Glock 43 with lining up the slides. This angle here on the Glock 43 actually reaches down to the bottom of that Hellcat magazine, so I would consider that the same size. The next thing that I want to go over is the actual grips themselves. Glock 43 is a Glock. It has that signature angle on this grip. When you hold this and you bring it up into your sight pattern, it's going to be the same exact sight pattern every single time because of this angle. I did not like the angle of the M&P Shield. And if you put them on top of each other, you can actually notice the angle difference. With the 43, it comes back at a little bit more of a dramatic angle, where the Shield comes more straight down. When I was picking up the Shield and doing shooting with it and pulling it from the holster, it was hard to find the sights on it because of the angle of this grip. Now that's a personal preference, but it is something that I noticed. When you buy a Glock though, you're going to get everything that comes with the Glock, and that grip angle is definitely a benefit. The Hellcat has a similar angle as the Shield that you can see there. Comes more on straight down than it does jutting out the back like the 43 does. But with this one, because of that thicker grip, it was a lot easier to hold and manipulate, and I found myself getting onto target a lot quicker with the Hellcat over the Shield. The other thing that I didn't like about the Shield is the thickness of the grip. So if we compare these two again, your 43, you can see how thick that is, compared to the thickness of the Shield. If I put the back straps together on that, right, look how much more grip there is on that 43, on the Shield. And look how far back the 43 sits. For me, I can wrap my hands around it, get my knuckles right where I want them to be for the same exact hold every single time. On the Shield, I found the thickness of this grip to make it a lot harder to get a good grip on it. You can see that my knuckles aren't directly on the end of that grip where I want them to be. My hand in the dovetail. It was more difficult and more uncomfortable for me to fire this weapon. Now, if you have bigger hands, if you have longer fingers than I do have smaller hands, you might find the Shield to be a good fit for you because your fingers can wrap around it more easily. The Hellcat has the same thickness as the 43, and it was very nice. Knuckles found their home nice and easy, and I got onto target very quickly with it. I loved the grip on the Hellcat. The other thing I want to go over is grips out of the box. Now, the Hellcat ran away with this one, and I'll show you why. The Glock 43, this is exactly how it comes. It has a little bit of stippling here, a little on the back strap here that you can see, but it is hard plastic. It slips around if you're not careful. If you have dry hands, if you were to drop this in mud or water, it would be difficult to hold it with clean hands because your hand's going to slip around on it. If you have a good grip, that shouldn't be an issue because you can find the grip every single time, and if you're holding your gun correctly and tightly, it's not going to be that big of an issue, but it is pretty slippery. The Shield had the same issue, which is why I put this Talon grip. This is just a sticker grip from Talon. I'm sure you've heard of them before, but they're fantastic. If you have any pistols that you're coming into this issue that it has a slippery grip on it, I definitely recommend getting this. It's a sticker that you put on in a few minutes. It looks fantastic and it really helps. It also covers the magazine on the bottom, so you can grip that and pull the magazine in and out a lot easier without your fingers slipping off of it. Now, the Hellcat came out of the box with this sandpaper stippling on it all over the place. I'm going to show you a few neat functions with it. Also has it on the magazine. Your hand stays where it's supposed to be. On top of that, it also has the stippling right here where your trigger finger is supposed to go. If you're not pulling the trigger, it's got the stippling right here, which fits my hands perfectly. On the other side, it has this stippling where your support hand thumb is supposed to brace the side of the frame to keep that gun where it's supposed to be when you're firing, which I really loved. It also has stippling right here for your firing hand. If that's where you want to put your thumb, depending on the grip of your pistol, it has that stippling there. So when you grab this Hellcat, unless you let go, it's not going anywhere. This thing has fantastic stippling out of the box, no aftermarket Talon grip necessary, and I really, really liked the hold of this pistol. Next, I want to go into the sights. The sights go from person to person on what you like most in your guns. With me, I want something that I can pick up quickly. It's going to be easy to find both sights and to put rounds down range. That's the biggest thing with a concealed carry pistol. The M&P Shield I actually really liked. It has a basic 2 dots in the back, 1 on the front. When you line those up, absolutely perfect, good sight picture, easy to pick up. They don't glow in the dark, it's nothing special. You can get aftermarket sights for this. This will slide out. That has a little Allen wrench, Allen bolt right there. So you can take these out and put different sights on them. I don't see the purpose. I really like the sights on the Shield. The next one is the Glock 43. This one to me is deceiving. It has the U shape in the back, and then it has the dot in the front. To get a good sight picture, you would assume the dot would be on top of that U shape like that. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but if you do that, your front sight is not aligned with the top brace up here. In order to shoot this accurately, the top of the metal sight up front needs to be lined up with the top right here. So in order to do that and line it up correctly, you're actually burying some of that circle. That is a correct sight picture for the Glock 43. Even though you want that whole dot to be up, you have to keep it down a little bit to get that correct sight picture. which is very frustrating. It takes a lot to get used to, and in a high stress situation, you're going to put that dot in between the U and you're going to pull the trigger. Your shots are going to be a little bit high. That is a big downfall for the Glock 43, and ever since I purchased it a few years ago, I have never liked the sights on it. Apparently, they're good enough because I never replaced them, but I do not like the sights on the Glock 43. The Springfield Hellcat actually comes stock with high visibility night sights. A lot of people like them. You can see this green sight in the front. That is high vis no matter what time of day it is. And this big U in the back here makes it very easy to pick up the sights, but I do find it distracting when I'm trying to shoot paper or metal. So this is personal opinion as well. If you're looking for a good conceal gun where you're going to be able to pick up the sights very quickly and put lead down range, these are the sights you're going to want. When I'm just plinking around with it and shooting at paper, I do find it very difficult to pinpoint exactly where I'm going to be shooting at because I feel the sights are a little bit too distracting for me personally. Again, I could change these out or equip it with a red dot sight, which I may do in the future, but for the stock sights, for me personally, I am not a fan of how intrusive these sights are. Again, just my personal opinion, and that's all this video is. These two guns do not have safeties. The Smith and Wesson Shield actually does have a button safety as well as a trigger safety. With the Smith and Wesson Shield, if this is pushed up, you cannot fire the weapon. A lot of people don't like that in a concealed carry because it's one more check and balance that you have to go through before pulling the gun out and using it to protect yourself. I don't personally like to carry a gun that has a external safety on it. I am perfectly comfortable with just having a trigger safety. But if that's something that you think is going to keep you more safe, something that's going to make you more comfortable to carry, that's something you should look for with the M&P Shield, is this external safety is available. Next, we're going to be going over the trigger weight and the trigger reset. On the Glock 43, it comes with a 5.5 pound trigger weight. I actually swapped out this trigger with a ghost trigger, so now it's only at a 2.5 pound. I never found an issue with the trigger weight being at 5.5, but I do like the lighter trigger pull for when I'm shooting at the range, shooting metal. It makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker on the resets. The trigger reset, fairly short. Even with the ghost trigger, it's the same as the stock trigger. The ghost trigger will not affect the reset. The M&P Shield comes in at 6.5 pounds for the trigger weight. This has not been changed out, this is completely stock. And the reset. About the same as the Shield, nothing really noticeable. And then the Springfield Hellcat comes in at a 6 pound trigger pull. With the reset, it actually has, I think, a shorter reset than the other two. The one thing I will say about the Springfield Hellcat trigger is when you're shooting consecutively, the reset and the trigger pull can feel almost sandy. I'm not sure if that is something wrong with this gun or if that's how all Hellcats are, but I did notice the trigger pull and the trigger reset on the Hellcat was a little bit gritty. It was not as smooth as the Glock 43 or the M&P Shield. The last thing I want to go over with these guns is the slide release. Now this is a big deal if you just put a magazine in, if it locked to the back, if you're doing quick reloads. Being able to pull this slide release down is important. With the M&P Shield, it was terrible. It still is terrible. I've had this gun for a long time. I put a lot of bullets through it, never gotten better. But to release this slide, even though you can see how jutted out it is, you should be able to get your finger on that pretty easily and pull it down. It is so difficult and takes a lot of tension and effort to pull that slide release with just one thumb. Now, there are other ways you can do it. You can pull the slide back first and then release the slide, and it's easier that way. But if you're trying to do quick reloads and you're trying to release the slide with one hand, if your other hand is occupied, you're doing one-hand shooting, it's very difficult to do. Now, with the M&P Shield Easy that they came out with, a lot of the things that I'm saying are wrong with this shield have been fixed with that version, but we're not going over that today, we're just going over the shield. And one of the biggest downfalls of this weapon has got to be this slide release. The next slide release is the 43. Now with this one, it does not jut out as much as the shield does, as you can see right here, but it does have a good lip that you can put your thumb on. You can also buy aftermarket slide releases that jut them out even more, which I do have on the Glock 17. But with this one, it's fairly simple to do, not nearly as hard as the Smith and Wesson Shield is. The Glock 43, I wish it had a little bit more of a jut to put your thumb on to pull it down, because it can hurt your thumb after a few times of pulling that slide release down. But overall, it's not that big of an issue, and it can do exactly what you want it to do. And lastly, Springfield Hellcat. You can see how much that juts out there, right for your thumb to sit on. Similar ledge to the shield. It's protruding a little bit more than the Glock 43, but you can see on the frame the way it's built in. It's not going to get in the way of anything, and it's not going to hook on anything either, which is very nice. Easiest of the three for this slide release. It goes down very nicely. The slide is back as far as it can go, and it's very safe, and it's being held in place. But to release that slide, it is very easy to pull that down and send that slide forward. So doing quick reloads with the Hellcat was a dream. This is the comfort tuck that I have. It's worn in, it's nice leather. I've had this one for years. I got this holster the same day that I got this Glock 43. You can get them custom fit for every gun, so it has a fantastic hard plastic for the trigger guard here, so you know you're not going to have any issues. It covers everything perfectly, and it can even be red dot acceptable because the plastic doesn't come up all the way. Has this nice sweat shield here, so no sweat's going to get into the slide or gunk anything up if you actually need it. And I'm not a holster professional. I don't have a bunch of holsters in my house. I have maybe 2 or 3 of them. This comfort tuck is the one that I would recommend. But again, this is not a holster review, just for the concealability of these 3 guns. They can conceal anywhere. They are all extremely thin pistols. They are very similar, except for the Hellcat being a little bit thicker, but you have to say, with that 13-round magazine, how much of a big deal is that? You can conceal them appendix, your 4 o'clock, shoulder. I mean, I've even carried my Glock 43 in a boot holster before. So they're fantastic to carry, and you're going to be happy with any of them if you're looking to conceal them. So there you have it, my review on the Springfield Hellcat, the Glock 43, and the Smith and Wesson Shield. I loved all 3 of these guns. They were a joy to shoot, and you can't go wrong with any of them. But if I had to pick one winner, I would pick the Springfield Hellcat. This thing, carrying 13 rounds, the stippling on the grip, I absolutely loved it. I love the feel of it, I love the hold of it, I love that I can get the correct sight picture every single time with this gun. It's absolutely fantastic. Even though I did not like the sights, and the trigger was a little bit messy for me, I still love this gun, and I think that this is going to be my winner. Now please understand that I am not a professional, I am not a gunsmith, I'm just some guy in a gun room making videos. So let me know what you think. Do you have the Glock 43? Do you have the Shield? Do you think that I'm wrong? I'm sure you're going to let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and of course, be safe. I'll see you in the next one.